Respect turned into rivalry, rivalry turned into conflict, and the escalation of that Max Verstappen-Lewis Hamilton fight coincided with a clear decline in the quality of their relationship. At the peak of their fight this season, Verstappen even reckons the two drivers hated each other. But is there a fundamental dislike between the pair, or was this feeling isolated within the specific circumstances of one of F1's most extraordinary seasons? A few months ago, the suggestion the Formula 1 title fight could turn ugly was dismissed by both Hamilton and Verstappen. As the rivalry soured considerably throughout the year, that seemed like an increasingly obvious misjudgment on their part. During the run of 4 consecutive races with wheel-to-wheel fights but no contact that started the year, we asked Hamilton and Verstappen how long the hard but fair battle could continue. Verstappen said at the time, "It's been really cool, especially when you race a driver and you know that you can go to the absolute limit. You can trust each other to just race super hard." Hamilton added, "We're both very hard but fair. That's what makes great racing and great racing drivers, and I think we will continue to keep it clean and keep it on the edge. I don't think either of us has a plan to get any closer than we have been." Both were hopeful it would not descend into anything nasty, but were almost certainly aware things risked escalating. They were just not about to admit it publicly. There was no contact in those first 4 races, but each time the fighting got a little more intense and a little closer to the edge. From then on, there were multiple flashpoints as the championship fight gradually descended into a bitter and immensely tense affair, and the respect and trust slowly eroded. The escalation, of course, was the British Grand Prix, where Hamilton hit Verstappen and sent him into the barrier at high speed. We'll revisit the significance of this later in this video. It didn't take long after that for the two to collide again at Monza. Neither was willing to be charitable as they negotiated the first chicane, and Verstappen refused to bail out on the outside, with the net result being the Red Bull perched atop the Mercedes and both drivers out of the race. There were other run-ins that had smaller consequences but continued to pour fuel onto the fire. In Brazil, Hamilton tried to pass Verstappen on the outside at turn 4 and Verstappen braked very late defending on the inside, causing both cars to run deep into the runoff area. Hamilton chose not to hold his line but instead to go even wider, avoiding contact. There was no action taken by the officials, and this further incensed Hamilton and Mercedes. They felt that yet again, Verstappen had got away with driving over the limit. But in the chaotic Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, Verstappen was effectively punished multiple times for incidents with Hamilton that included what some felt was a brake test. Meanwhile, Hamilton got away with a retaliation of sorts, running Verstappen wide at the final corner after he took the lead for good. At this point, it was clear their behaviour on track was being affected by the decay of their relationship and respect. Hamilton said it was clear that others around us were willing to take it to all sorts of levels in order to overtake, while Verstappen countered, "I don't agree with the decisions, but I also don't want to waste too much time on it because we don't need to make headlines out of it. They don't deserve that." This was probably the height of the division, but even in Abu Dhabi, where the dominant story became the controversial finish, there was a run-in between the two as Verstappen launched an aggressive first lap move and Hamilton skipped across the runoff to stay ahead. The bottom line is that from avoiding any collisions and insisting they could continue to race hard but fair, there had been several flashpoints and a clear divergence in how the drivers viewed the incidents. The title battle has changed Verstappen's view of Mercedes and Hamilton. On more than one occasion this year, Verstappen has said that Mercedes personnel have shown how they really are, notably when they celebrated their win at Silverstone while Verstappen was having precautionary checks in hospital, and Mercedes' unsuccessful bid to get the Turn 4 incident in Brazil reviewed after the race, even though Hamilton went on to win anyway. When we asked Verstappen before Abu Dhabi if his opinion of Hamilton and Mercedes has changed this year, he said, "Yep, very much, and not in a positive way." By the end of the year, there was a clear narrative from the Red Bull camp that Mercedes was driving an anti-Verstappen agenda in the media. This related to various critical comments made by the likes of Toto Wolff and Hamilton throughout the year, which Red Bull felt were overblown and designed to put Verstappen under unfair pressure. Ex-F1 boss Bernie Ecclestone even claimed Verstappen was being bullied by Mercedes and Hamilton. Asked about those comments, Verstappen said, "Well, clearly he feels that something is not right. I don't experience bullying, but I think what's going on, of course, is not correct." Because he didn't speak much at all after Abu Dhabi, we don't know what feelings Hamilton may harbour towards his season-long adversary. All we have to judge is Hamilton's attitude through the year. That was generally respectful, with the odd goading remark and some more emotional comments in the heat of the moment, especially when he felt wronged by Verstappen. But none of that is indicative of Hamilton losing all respect for his opponent. There's certainly no evidence of Hamilton having as toxic a relationship with Verstappen as he had internally at Mercedes with Nico Rosberg. Especially as in his sole media appearance post-race he was very quick to congratulate Verstappen, even though Hamilton had lost the win in contentious circumstances. When there's so much on the line and the intensity is as fierce as it was this year, every emotion is magnified. And that created a vicious circle. The fair on the limit stuff earlier in the year was infiltrated by controversy and bitterness, causing the relationship between the two drivers and teams to deteriorate as a result. And when that happened, the on-track respect reduced as well, which is a recipe for further controversy and bitterness. But we've already seen a step back from any animosity. When the two were paired in the same press conference on Thursday in Abu Dhabi, it almost felt they were a little embarrassed by how far things had gone. It doesn't detract from the fact that at one point it looked like these two genuinely disliked each other, but that's what an intense rivalry will create at its peak. Verstappen summed up the situation quite well in an interview with the BBC. He said, "You look each other in the eye, you don't say a lot, but you do relate a lot, and you really appreciate the fight. Sometimes we did hate each other, but that's fine. That's the competitive spirit of both of us. He is an incredible driver." The title fight was sometimes compared to the one between Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost, given the collisions and the animosity. But even that frosty relationship was thawing before Senna's death, as seen on the 1993 Adelaide podium, which was Prost's final race and what would turn out to be Senna's final win. So there's always the chance for warring foes to reconcile. The main thing is there's still underlying respect, which does seem to be the case with Hamilton and Verstappen, so any damage to their relationship would seem repairable. But there's one lingering part of the fallout that shows not everything in 2021 will pass so quickly, and it's something we've touched on a couple of times already. At Silverstone, Hamilton was deemed predominantly at fault and was given a 10-second penalty, but Red Bull and Verstappen were outraged by this, given he still went on to win the race. This moment clearly represented a shift in the dynamic. Afterwards, Red Bull attacked Hamilton and Mercedes accused Red Bull of trying to tarnish its driver's reputation. Red Bull and Verstappen were upset that Hamilton celebrated the controversial win so passionately, while Verstappen, unknown to Hamilton, was in hospital for precautionary checks. The moment Verstappen called disrespectful at the time resurfaced in the wake of his dramatic title win. Red Bull technical chief Adrian Newey brought it up unprompted immediately after the Abu Dhabi race, saying that it personally still really grinds with me. It's something Verstappen and his father Jos feel similarly about. In his post-race champions press conference, Verstappen reflected on sitting in the hospital the whole evening having checks as definitely the lowest point of his season. Back in July, Verstappen and Red Bull never explicitly stated in public that they felt Hamilton had taken him out on purpose, but it was quite clearly implied at times. And comments from Jos Verstappen after Abu Dhabi showed how much the incident is still a sore point. In that interview extract from a video filmed for Verstappen's sponsor CarNext, Jos even fails to mention Hamilton by name. He referred to him as Lewis at other points in the same interview, so that could be a slip, or it could be an example of a lingering resentment. But in the weeks, months and years to come, even the feeling around what happened at Silverstone will probably fade. And in all likelihood, the respect between Hamilton and Verstappen will only be enhanced as they reflect further on the momentous battle that they engaged in.